Measurement is very, very important when it comes to woodworking. Everything has to be cut to the exact dimensions of what you need it to be. We can't be off a little bit. So when we're measuring something and we need it to be cut at 5.5, we got to make sure that we cut it at 5.5. Or if we're setting the table saw, we got to make sure that we set the table saw correctly. And in woodworking, we typically are going to use standard measures, and standard measures go by 1/16 of an inch. So this is just a close-up of a tape measure between the 3 and 4 inch mark. So this is 3 inch, this is 4 inch, and each of these are 1/16 of an inch between each other. So this is 3 and 1/16, and so on. This one would be 3 and 2/16, but because we can reduce that down, it would be 1/8, and then 3/16, and then 4/16. Again, we can reduce that fraction down. So 4/16 would be 1/4, and so on. Let me go to this next slide here to show you this. So this is between 1 and 2 inches. So we have 1/16, an eighth, 3/16, 1/4, 5/16, 3/8, and so on. The different lengths of line are the different measurements. So the longest line here is an inch, and if you notice this one on the tape measure, the inch line goes all the way across. The next line is a 1/16. So the shortest lines are 1/16. The next shortest are eighths, then 1/4, then 1/2, and then the inch. So when you're looking at this, since this is a second, other than the inch one, this is the longest line, so this must be 1/2. This is 1/4. This one right here is 3/4. This is 1/8. 2/8, which would be 1/4, so we don't call it 2/8. So 1/8, 3/8, 5/8, 7/8, and then our 16ths: 1/16, 3/16, 5/16, 7/16, and so on. 9/16, 11/16, 13/16, and 15/16. Now, there's really not a real simple way of learning this, but you have to know it. So it may just come down to practice and repetition, but it's very, very important that you do know this. So what we'll do in class here is this. It's tape measure practice, and this is just generates random lengths, and then you have to determine if it's right. So let's change this to 1/16 here, because we want to go down to the 1/16. Inches only, and we'll do an arrow. And we can create an answer key too. And we can create it, and it creates a worksheet that looks like this. And then it lets us practice. So there's 8 of them. So this is 11, and, well, what is it? Well, if we look at it, it's 11 and 3/4. I can double check I'm right because there's an answer key down here, and I can look, and sure enough, it's 11 and 3/4. Okay, some of these are harder than others, as you know, the 16ths might be the hardest ones to do. This one, 10, and, well, it's on the smallest line, so we know it's a 16th. Then we got to figure out what it is. Well, I like to do this. Here's a half. I know a half would be 8/16. So if it's one less than a half, that would be 7/16. If it's one more, it would be 9. Okay, this would be 10, 11, 12. That's 13/16. Okay. Or you could count backwards here if you have trouble. This is 11. This would be 15, 14, 13/16. So this should be 10 and 13/16. And it is. Okay. Let's do this next one. I can just pull down here where it's got it. This is 7, and, well, it's on the 8th line. So I can count them if I need to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 eighths. Or I know that 8 eighths would be 1. If it's 1/8 less than, the 1 inch mark, which would be 7, that would be 7 eighths. Okay, so this would be 7 and 7 eighths. Now, again, I think it's a lot of practice, and that's what we're going to be doing in class. Well, we're going to practice. We're going to make some of these up. We'll practice. But as you're doing this, some of you I know already know how to read a tape measure. Some of you probably do not. So as you're doing this, use this. You know, double check yours. Create some of these and practice them. And there's a couple ways you can create them. I will share a link to you so you can practice there. But also, if you go to my woodworking uh, page, I have tape measure practice right here. And when you do the tape measure practice, change it to 1/16 of an inch. Leave that at inches only, 1/16. And then you can either do an arrow or a rectangle bar and include an answer key and then create it. And then practice these. Write on a piece of paper, 1 through 8. Look at the first one. This one I didn't do with the arrow, but it's the same concept here. So this one should be 5 and, well, that should be 5/8. And then I can go down and check it. So do them all, check it. But if you need to, have this pulled up at the same time, and you can look at this and you can help and just practice it. We will do some practice quizzes over the next day or so, and then we will do a graded quiz over tape measure. And some of you that were gone for a while, I don't know how I'll have you. I might have you do it when you get back. So just be prepared to do tape measure stuff when you get back. But practice it, learn it. I'll probably do a couple shared practice quizzes with you so I can see and make sure you know what you're doing. And then we will do some graded quizzes. But you have to know how to read a tape measure. Okay. That's all we're working on, at least for right now. We'll get to board foot calculation tomorrow.